All right, I'm going live.
How does this sound?
Well, you're not as echoey.
Well, I figured out how to get this to connect.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of Phatts TV, sanctioned by PA Phatts and the non-genetically proven Sun. Any and all words have been authorized during the show. There is nothing off limits. Nobody is restricted from watching and participating in the show. It is a free-for-all. Commencing at the siren, any and all discussions will be legal for an extended period of time. Sports, politics, and any and all controversial topics will be talked about. You have been warned. May God be with us all.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Season 3 premiere of Phatts TV. I got 2 words for you. Not those 2 words. Not those 2 words. Not killing grandma either. Not those 2 words. For those of you that have been watching us all the way back to our first episode. Nope. The 2 words that we're speaking of tonight is we're back.
Woo!
Your worst nightmare has returned. Joining me as always again, he escaped his underground bunker deep in the heart of Center County. He's now on floor 2 in the new Phatts Studio B. I kind of like the look of the other one better, let's face it.
Oh, what was that?
Well, you can
This
see the
one's
flag a
way
lot
better.
better. You can see the flag a lot better in the
Oh,
other one.
I'm sorry.
You know, maybe if you put the flag on the other wall.
But then you couldn't see it.
The non-genetically proven Son, who, by the way, is now the executive producer of this show. Yes, he's a college graduate or something like that. So he's been promoted to executive producer. So now he's in charge, at least on our sports nights, of telling me what we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't follow politics nearly as much as you do, so
Yeah. So
when it comes to politics, I'm a little lost. With sports, I keep up with a couple 2-3.
Yeah. For politics, what? Orange guy bad? Fuck Joe Biden? That's all you need to know.
Pretty much.
Kamala Harris, ho? You know, that's what else do you need to know?
Cortez about eating kids.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how you been all summer long?
I got a job.
You got a job.
So, I mean,
Actually, you got a couple jobs.
I do have a couple jobs.
Kiana says hi. As usual, though, executive producer, it is still your job to monitor the message board.
Yeah, I gotta pull it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, why don't you tell the audience what your favorite job is of all your jobs?
My favorite job. Well,
Yeah.
I am the lead photographer for Blue and White Illustrated magazine up here in State College.
Is that like Hustler for Center County?
Sure. Sure. No, basically, I get to go to 1 practice a week for football. It's only about 15 minutes you get.
Yeah, because
I
that's
get
all.
to every home game. I get to go to away games, but I got to transport myself. So it looks like we're only going to
Rutgers.
I had a chance to go to Michigan tomorrow, but since On3, who is the already failing at your new job, since On3 is the who owns the magazine, On3 does not only just do Penn State, they do colleges all over the country, and one of their outlets is Michigan. So they already have a photographer for there. They can only employ 1. So, SOL.
Yes.
Because I was going to say, hey, you don't have to pay me. Just give me the credential and get me out there.
Yes.
And we would have been, all right, I get to go to Penn State, Michigan.
uh,
But I get to go to Whiteout next week. I get to go to Ohio State the week after. So it's not a bad gig.
no. No, it's not.
Except against Northwestern, that was awful.
You got a little wet.
A little.
A little.
My hoodie was wet for a week.
Well, at least your camera didn't get wet.
I put a trash bag over it.
You know, that $7,000 piece of equipment that I bought?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so topic number 1, as decided by the executive producer, something that we very rarely talk about on this show, let's be honest.
Very true.
Major League Baseball.
Woo!
It's playoff time. Playoffs?
Guess who actually followed baseball for the first time in their life?
Yeah,
and it's not the guy at the bottom right of the screen.
keep your voice level up, or I'm going to make you put your headphones on.
Here, I'll just... How's that?
Super. Just keep your voice level up.
All right, I'm trying.
So,
I'm trying.
right now on my monitor, I have several in front of me. I have the Phillies-Braves game on. It's not a very good game.
Let's just say we're all Braves fans in this chat. And it was hilarious watching the Mets blow the entire league.
Yeah.
And then getting out of the playoffs before the Braves even threw a pitch.
Yes.
And now the Braves are doing their damn hardest to not throw another pitch after this series.
Yeah. You know what? If at the end of Game 3, wouldn't you have expected the Braves to be down 2-1?
No, I would have probably expected to be up 2-1.
Okay.
I would have expected them to win Game 1. I expected them to lose to Nola.
Okay.
I also figured Strider wouldn't look like a kindergartner in his first outing in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, but, you know, he was hurt.
Yeah,
he hasn't
I was a
pitched in
little
3
worried
weeks.
about it going into it. I'm like, he didn't play for like a month and some. And now he's going out in his first ever playoff game against a pretty hot Phillies lineup.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not spelling great, and the Braves have not hit Nola all year. They're like, they may have a win against them, but they can't hit him.
So the good news is, with it not being a 7-game series, they wouldn't have to face him in a Game 7 matchup.
This is true.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
That's what you get lucky when the Braves didn't win. Or the Braves. That's when the Phillies decided to pitch him Game 2 of the Cardinals series, which I thought was quite odd. I figured save him for Game 3 if they need him. If not, then you have him for Game 1 and then Game 5 of the next series.
Interesting way to think about that.
Especially because I think they got a decent enough lineup
Yeah.
to where they didn't need to pitch Nola Game 1 or 2.
Uh-huh.
And the Cardinals hit so bad, like, they looked like Oakland out there. I think they had like 3 hits the whole series or something like that.
Okay.
You didn't need to pitch Nolan. He pitches Game 1, and Free didn't look great. You win Game 1, and then if the Braves pull it back to Game 5, he's fresh and ready, and I'd push it towards the Phillies to win Game 5 if Nola was on the mound.
Yeah.
But now the Braves could have Fried on the mound for Game 5.
Yeah.
And you got Morton on the mound tomorrow, which is...
Yeah. I mean, the Phillies
he's hit or miss.
The Phillies aren't countering on anybody special either.
I don't know who the Phillies are pitching.
Jose Luis Rivera.
Probably their 4th pitcher as well.
Let's see if it's been announced yet.
All I know is Morton is pitching for the Braves. And then Fried would be pitching Game 5, I assume.
Da-da-da-da. Well, if it gets to a Game 5, Fried better pitch better than he pitched in Game 1.
Yeah, he's got to pitch a little bit better.
Congratulations to the Guardians. Indians. For winning today.
The Yankees.
Against the stinking Yankees. Yeah. Let's see here. Tomorrow's pitchers. Philly is countering with undecided.
That's good. Could be a bullpen game. And if it is a bullpen game, big advantage to the Braves.
I think it makes sense that they haven't announced their starter yet because if they lost tonight they'd probably come back with their game 1 starter on 3 days rest.
Yeah, probably. Pitch him 4, maybe 5.
It's high. It's deep. It's foul by about 100 feet.
Oh. If the Phillies go for some sort of bullpen game, which is possible, big advantage Braves. I think they got a much better bullpen when it comes to that. But then the Phillies are playing on house money. You're up 2-1. It's not a big deal if you lose.
Right.
I mean, you'd like to win at home for sure.
It's high. It's deep. It's caught 5 steps before the warning track.
Who's batting?
Some guy.
For which team?
The Braves.
I don't have the game on anymore.
The Braves. It's 7th inning stretch time. It's 6-1.
Yeah, got them right where they want them.
So, like I said, congratulations to the Guardians for winning Game 2. That series is tied at 1 game apiece. The Dodgers tonight, that series is tied at 1 game apiece. Their starter, for those of you that don't know, Gonsolin.
Yeah.
16-1.
Yeah, he pitches in the NL West.
16-1.
He pitches in the NL West.
Unverified, his loss was to Scranton State School for the deaf. Unverified, though.
He gets to pitch against the Diamondbacks and the Rockies half the year. I mean, come on now. I hope you can win some. Yeah.
Half the year?
Yeah.
All right.
He had, of those 16 wins, I bet you like 7 of them were against those 2 teams.
You know, it's interesting. They're only about a $1.20 favorite, too.
Well, they are in.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
right down the road in San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego is countering with Blake Snell, which he's not a, you know.
He's a good pitcher.
He is a good pitcher. So that could be an interesting game.
And the other series no one cares about because the Mariners blew it.
Yeah.
In game 1.
Yep.
Giving up, 6 in the 8th and the 9th.
Yep.
Walk-off 3-run home run. I was watching the game and I went, wow. I was like, actually, like, that was a good game. But I'm like, man, the Astros won.
And then, well, you know what? I don't want to see the Spankies make the World Series, so.
Yeah, the Spankies would probably beat Seattle, so you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Which is the best of the worst?
Yeah, because probably unpopular opinion. Everybody say Aaron Judge is the home run king. No, he's not. He's the home run king in the American League. I don't give a fuck if Barry Bonds was on steroids, heroin, meth, and ate spinach like Popeye. He hit 77 or whatever it was home runs. He's the home run king. You want to keep him out of the Hall of Fame? So be it. I'm still goddamn pissed off Shoeless Joe Jackson's not in the Hall of Fame. That was a little before our time. By 100 years.
Yeah.
There was no proof, none, that he knew that the White Sox were going to throw that series. He hit over 300, didn't make an error, hit the only home run in the series. No proof that he knew it. Bastards.
One day.
And Pete Rose, by the way. So he bet on baseball. At least he didn't bet against his team. At least I don't think. Maybe he did for all I. If he bet against his team, yeah, that's a no-no.
You bet for your team. I mean,
yeah.
What does it matter?
So the manager has a little betting problem. As long as he's betting on his team, I could care less. You bet against your team.
Yeah, that doesn't look so good.
Yeah, you could have a little bit of a problem with it. Yeah, I could understand having a problem with that. So, as always, our message board is live and operational, should you wish to chime in. What do you guys think about the Hall of Fame? You know, there is about 4,000 people watching us right now, and no one wants to chime in. You guys are always quiet as church mices. Church mouses. Mices. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to topic number 2. Let's get the boring topic out of the way. Although we love this sport here at Phatts TV, it's a little early in the season, and that's the National Hockey League.
Woo!
All I know is my team is 2-0, your team is 0-2. That's all I know.
That's all I know, too. And that Colorado's probably going to, probably win the Stanley Cup again or be close to it.
Yeah, they might get there. They ain't winning it.
Nope. The Rangers are going to win
it.
No shot.
Hey.
Veterans versus year 2s. No shot.
Year 2s.
Yeah.
Year 2s. The Utes. They're the Utes. Year 2s.
Yeah, year 2s.
Yeah, like Zibanejad's in his second year. Chris Kreider's in his second year.
You know what?
Shesterkin's in his second year. Sure, okay, Daniel. Non-genetically proven son. You are non-genetic. Year 2s.
Year 2s.
And who's your team again that's 0-2 right now and looking fantastic?
Washington.
Uh-huh.
They've scored 4 and given up 8.
Are you going to pick them to make a run to the Lord Stanley's Cup this year?
No.
No?
Why would I do that?
It can't be as bad as us saying that last year the Islanders were going to make a run.
Yeah, they didn't even make the playoffs.
They finished next to last in their division.
Yeah, they were pretty bad. And we both had them in, I think, the conference finals or the Stanley Cup finals.
I had them in the finals. You had them in the conference finals.
I think I had Florida in the finals.
I believe you did. Yeah. Or was it the other way around?
Yeah, I'm going to have... my Eastern Conference Finals is going to be the Devils versus Detroit. And my Western Conference Finals is going to be Seattle versus the Ducks.
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Does that team even exist?
So, for me in the Eastern Conference, it's going to be Montreal against Toronto, because, Toronto always makes it past round 1 of the playoffs.
Every now and then they do.
Yeah, 1943 was the last time. And my Western Conference, this is tough. This is tough. Yeah, I'm gonna say the Golden State Warriors against the Saskatchewan Roughriders of the Canadian Football League. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. Yeah.
Sure.
Why not? Sure.
Versus Liverpool.
Sure. Now, you know what? Of all seriousness, yes, the Rangers could still potentially be a year away. I mean, let's face it. You at least had them making it to the playoffs last year. I said they were 1 year away from making it to the playoffs. And they did make a surprising run to the
I had them getting
finals.
to the first round, which was accurate.
Yeah.
I didn't have them getting out of the second round.
Yeah, and they were one bad period away from being up 3 games to none on Tampa.
They were.
Yes. They were up 2-0 at home in that game in the second period. And then the wheels came off. The wheels on their bus came floating off,
And then they would have got swept.
What the hell is that fat green thing on my... Oh, that's Matt. Never mind. Yeah. Is Tampa going to make it again? I mean, they're still stacked. Although I will say they played really bad against the Rangers in Game 1. They didn't look good at all. But they didn't start out good last year either.
This could be the start of this trend where the East stops winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, because they won it last year.
Well, I just mean every now and again the West won, but the East pretty much won it, at least once every 2 years.
At least once every 2 years.
Like,
So
like
what do you
what?
say? What do you say? It was 50-50?
No. So, like, they'd win it, like, 3 out of 4. How's that?
That's a little better than saying, well, they won it at least once every 2 years. Oh, dear Lord. I'm glad you said what you said to your friends. Come watch two guys that think they know about sports after what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, at least the East wins it. You know, they're very dominant. They win it once every 2 years or so.
Well, I think now there could be a trend where the West starts winning it a little bit more.
Oh, I don't know who's good out West right now. So you got Colorado, obviously. I think Vegas is taking a step back. I keep waiting for Edmonton to make a stand. Like Edmonton is so, they got so much talent, but they wilt in the playoffs every year.
Vegas, Calgary, Winnipeg.
You know, I would think right now the next good team to come up would be Calgary out West.
Yeah, they're really good. In the East, Tampa, Florida, and the Rangers
And Carolina.
They're a choke artist.
And I can't stand Carolina.
They're just boring. They play boring hockey.
They are, yeah. Yeah. They win a lot of 2-1 kind of games.
They're kind of like every Thursday night football game anymore.
Hey, if you watch the last play that, that came down to, it was a little exciting, that last.
I don't
minute of the
really
game.
care. The Commanders should not be playing the Bears on Thursday night football, but this is a topic for later.
That's fine. Remind me, I do want to tell you something that I told a friend of mine this week, and he had no idea. So remind me.
Write it down.
Let me write that down. Just let me say Thursday teams, and I hope I'm going to remember what that means. All right, so let's wrap this up. If you had to pick a Stanley Cup winner right now, who are you picking? Right now. Early in the season, only 2 games in for most teams. Some teams only have 1 game in. Colorado. I'd love to pick the Rangers, but that would sound like a homer pick. I still think they're a year away. I don't know how good Florida's going to be this year.
It wouldn't surprise if they win the division. I just don't think they're not much of a playoff team quite yet.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll take the Rangers only because they've played. What I've seen so far, I liked.
They should have been in the Stanley Cup final last year, so I don't think it's exactly a homer pick.
Yes.
I think it's just you're trying to pick basically the next best team other than Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Calgary, basically.
Right, and I'm not sure Colorado's going to make it this year. I'm telling you, watch out for Calgary out west.
Or the Oilers if they ever Stanley Cup.
That would be pretty cool if Calgary makes it. At least we get to hear "Oh Canada" in the Stanley Cup Finals. I like the national anthem of Canada. I don't like the guy who's running Canada. I think he's a little weasel.
How about Calgary versus Toronto? Then you just don't have to hear.
You can't say Toronto. Because Toronto doesn't make it out of round 1. You'd have to say Montreal.
They suck. They made the Stanley Cup final, lost, and had the worst team in the NHL.
As long as it's not the Flyers or Boston, I don't care. My favorite day of the whole year, is when the Flyers are officially eliminated from winning the Stanley Cup.
And when the Eagles can't win the Super Bowl.
That's my second favorite day of the year. That might be a while this year. All right. Topic number 3 on the list.
First, sort of political topic.
Sorta.
And only sort of political topic.
Sort of, kind of. So, you sent me an article last night, and I read it. I was half asleep when I read it.
I heard this topic on the radio at lunch.
The radio.
Usually when, I always spend lunch in my car at work. I spend my break there, too.
What do you eat, 6 hot dogs at lunch?
It depends if I make something or not.
If not, you get 6 hot dogs.
3.
It's still a lot of hot dogs.
50 cents for a hot dog at Sheetz.
I'm sure your GI tract loves you when you munch down 3 hot dogs.
Probably. But I usually just listen to whatever politics are on. So, whatever conservative politics are on, there's a bunch of people who talk throughout the day. And they mentioned something about Pennsylvania, which usually doesn't happen. Pennsylvania is the most boring state, I swear. Nobody gives a damn about it, except when they make fun of John Fetterman. That is hilarious. Because he gets mayo with hot dogs. Yes, because apparently mayo on hot dogs is weird. Apparently that is not allowed. You're not allowed to put mayonnaise on hot dogs.
As long as it's not Hellman's, I could care. If it was Hellman's, he would definitely not be my child. Because Hellman's mayonnaise sucks.
They mentioned something about the PIAA.
So, for those of you that don't know what the PIAA is,
Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association.
So, it's the governing body of high school sports in Pennsylvania. So, yes, we are going to talk about high school sports.
And if I know anything about the PIAA, they suck. They don't know how to hire refs.
They're as bad as Hellman's mayonnaise.
And football. Their football refs can't make a call either. But
their soccer refs aren't much better either.
PIAA vote likely means that NIL deals will be possible for PA high school athletes.
Oh. Harper hit one off the wall.
I don't give a damn what Harper did.
I thought that was going to be a home run. And there's Matt again hugging some little girl. Oh, wait. That's his stepkid. Never mind. Go ahead.
So, PIAA vote likely means that NIL deals will be permissible for PA high school athletes.
Say that again?
Now,
say it again and say it a little louder.
PIAA vote likely means that NIL deals will be permissible for PA high school athletes. Now, it is a little more not black and white.
That's racist.
You think of an NIL deal, you think, maybe something about Sean Clifford goes in a commercial for a car and gets paid for it. And, he advertises this car, he wears a shirt to practice or, before games that says something about, like, whatever. That's a very simple way of putting it. There's a lot with, like, signing autographs and stuff like that now, and just, like, meet and greets. But let me see if I can find... Okay, so it says... No one affiliated with the high school or employed by the school may arrange for any NIL deals or pay players, but a coach who also is parent of an athlete doesn't fall under this restriction. Student athletes may not make any reference to the PIAA or any member school, team, or nickname in NIL ads. They may not provide third-party entities or goods during team or school activities. They may not wear or display a company logo or insignia from an NIL deal during team activities unless that logo or insignia is part of the team uniform. They must also report any NIL deals to their school administration. PIAA athletes can't promote adult entertainment products or services, alcohol products, controlled substances, opioids, anything to do with gambling or sports betting or weapons, firearms, or ammunition.
Oh, well, that leaves me out right there.
Adult products and gambling and sports betting.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's a lot of bending around it, but the fact that it's even possible is beyond me.
So
last I checked, in high school, if you made $1, you couldn't be in the NCAA. You weren't allowed. You were ineligible.
Certainly couldn't play sports in high school.
Yeah, you couldn't. You weren't going to play a sport in high school, and
yes.
If the NCAA found out that you made even $1, you were not eligible to play NCAA sports.
Right. Now, obviously, that's changed.
Yeah.
With the NIL deal. So now NIL is coming to high school sports.
At least in Pennsylvania. I don't know about any other state.
So, there's one thing in the article that I disagree with. Where it said, I think you'll have a very small percentage of athletes that this will affect. Now, that I agree with. It said, no, although no one should expect Nike or similar companies to hand out money for big NIL deals with high school athletes, you could see some smaller deals with Pennsylvania athletes, possibly such as a local company or local restaurants. That I disagree with. You know as well as I do that the best football players in the country for the states that are going to allow this are going to get juicy NIL deals.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I want to know where this was when I was in high school, because let's face it, I was a stud athlete.
You played golf.
I did. And I scored 4 touchdowns in one football game for Polk High. Wait, that was Al Bundy. Never mind. I was a stud.
You weren't even on the A team.
On the practice tee.
Yeah. But yeah, think about Arch Manning.
Yes.
He would have got easily a juicy deal. Just because his last name is Manning. It didn't matter if he was good or not.
Yes.
But yeah, of course he is good. I would hope so.
He's going to be possibly the best one of the 4 of them.
I wouldn't go that far quite yet.
I said possibly the best of the 4 of them.
Where did he even commit? Tennessee?
I don't know.
Texas, yeah. He ain't going anywhere in college.
Wow.
By the time he graduates, Texas might get a defense.
Hey, they're the best 2-loss team in the country right now. But we'll talk about that in a little bit.
But I don't think any high schooler should be able to make any money. At least through their sport. Go get a job.
Get a job, you lazy bum.
Just it's gonna be unfair. Just how college is.
Go work at the McDonald's in my town for $18.50 an hour or whatever they fucking start you at now.
Like, only quarterbacks at the elite schools are gonna probably get anything.
You mean you don't think the star bowler of your high school is gonna make some money?
No. You think if I was in high school again and averaged 230, you think I'd even get anything? No.
Not with your attitude.
Exactly.
So.
Maybe that helps sells product.
But this opens the door to some possibilities for us. See, we got to look at this the other way. Who could we pay to sponsor?
See, but they can't wear anything during practice, games.
That's all right. So if we sponsor,
I guess maybe on their social media,
since our, my other job on the weekends is running bowling tournaments, and I have Team Phatts. I could,
So you could already have an NIL deal without the actual payment of people.
Yeah.
People already wear your logo. Whether they turn into the show, that's a different story.
Sure, but now they're only wearing my logo right now on Sundays.
True.
But now,
there you go. Get Shikellamy
start
to put our logo on their jersey, and that's fine. That's legal.
I thought you said they couldn't have the logo on their jerseys.
Unless it's part of their jersey.
I don't. What's the difference? So in other words, they can't wear a sticker like bowlers do. It would have to be screen printed onto their uniform.
Yeah. The team, they may not wear or display a company logo or insignia from an NIL deal during team activities unless that logo or insignia is part of the team uniform. So if everyone has it, then yeah, it's legal. you basically be like a title sponsor on a jersey, like
Yeah.
every soccer team has.
Yeah. See, this has possibilities for us. See, you got to think of it the other way around.
It's ridiculous. No amateur should be getting paid for sports.
You know, speaking of this on a side topic for a second, now that, you know, Team Phatts, Phatts TV, PA Phatts is basically hooked up with EFX Apparel, that's our official provider of those 3 logos. See Brian Krantz at efxapparel.com if you would like to order. They're now approved for PBA.
There you go.
So now I gotta see what we could do about potentially getting Team Phatts on a PBA shirt. We might start having you practice.
Yeah, okay. No.
You're going out on tour.
You paying for that?
Hell no. You get an NIL deal with somebody. Get an
if you
NIL
want
deal.
100% pay for that, sure, I'll go out on tour.
You get an NIL deal with somebody.
Yeah? I don't think it works like that. 1, I'm not in high school. 2, I'm not in college.
Oh, yeah, you graduated. That's right.
It'd be a sponsorship.
You graduated.
That's
Barely.
what that would be called when you're not in educational systems. It's called a sponsor.
All right. Topic 4. Now we get into the stuff that you really tune in to. College football.
Oh.
College football. So, who do you think's the number 1 team in the nation right now? Like, who has passed the eye test in your opinion?
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Much as I hate to say that, they're the only team that should be in the top 4. Not saying like Alabama or Georgia shouldn't be in the top 4. But they're the only team that has actually done what they're supposed to do. They haven't almost lost any of their games. They haven't even come close. They probably just about covered all their games, too.
Their closest game has been their first game, when they only won by, 14? Was it?
I don't even know who they played. Notre Dame. Yeah, and first game of the year, big deal.
Yeah, Ohio State always doesn't play up to the first, usually 2 games.
Now, granted, they haven't really played anybody since week 1.
That is true.
The whole Big Ten, except for Michigan and Penn State, is terrible. And I wouldn't even say Penn State might be mid-tier.
Well, you don't know that yet.
Let's say Penn State hasn't passed my eye test, that's for sure.
Let's revisit that come 3:45 tomorrow.
Yeah. Or in 15, 20 minutes when we get to Penn State, Michigan.
Yeah.
Call
your friends, by the way, when we get to Penn State, Michigan.
I'd probably say Ohio State is probably the best team in the country right now, followed by probably Georgia. They've only had 1 game where they looked very questionable. But that happens. I don't really care who you are. You're not going to play perfect every week. They still won. Who cares? It was against Missouri.
Yeah.
Not a good team, Missouri. It was against like South Carolina or Arkansas, whatever, you know. They're at least mid-tier.
Yeah, okay.
So I'd probably put them 2, and then everybody else. I think Clemson is the most overhyped, they're not good. They're just not good. Their quarterback is terrible. For Clemson standards. Like, compared to Trevor Lawrence, he's not even close. Like,
wow.
They'll make the playoffs because the ACC is so bad. I mean, last year at least Pitt was good. Now they're all bad. Who's the best team in the ACC other than Clemson, Syracuse? Maybe. There's one other decent team in the ACC.
NC State, Miami.
NC State, but Clemson beat them. Miami, maybe.
Clemson, if they make the playoffs, will get rolled.
Oh yeah, and then Alabama they're not convincing me now. They don't have their quarterback. I don't know if he's playing.
He's playing tomorrow. The line went up 2 points today. He's playing tomorrow.
He is playing tomorrow. So we'll get to that in a second. USC, they need to play somebody. When this week they play Utah. If they go out and win by 2 touchdowns, maybe we'll be a little more convinced.
Mm-hmm.
If they go out and win by less than 5, I'm not convinced.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan, we'll get there in a minute. Who else is good?
Well, UCLA's looked really good.
Same thing. Has they played anybody?
Well, they kind of took Utah to the woodshed last week.
They take Utah to the woodshed. So,
they're putting up a lot of yards. They average over 500 yards a game.
I mean, Tennessee, who have they played? They beat Florida. Good job. Tennessee, honestly, they'd probably get rolled tomorrow.
Oh, really?
It's tough for me to say because when was the last time Tennessee was good? The early 2000s?
Interestingly enough, they did win the national championship the year after Peyton Manning left.
That's funny.
When T. Martin was the quarterback.
So, I mean, do I hope Tennessee wins? Of course.
Of course.
That'd be great. Another year without Alabama in the playoffs would be awesome.
Sweet home.
Oklahoma State, they look pretty good. At least there's one team that has a defense in the Big 12.
They could easily lose tomorrow.
They play TCU.
TCU, who's also undefeated, I believe.
They are. Because they just beat Kansas.
Kansas.
Basketball school on fire. Ole Miss has been looking really good. I thought last week I had no idea why Ole Miss was a favorite against Texas A&M. I ate those words. Badly.
like drinking spoiled milk.
Let's turn our heads towards the Big Ten. Let's talk about not Ohio State. And not Michigan, because we'll get there. Big Ten sucks. Let's be honest.
The Big Ten, once you get past the top 3,
sucks.
It's bad. I mean, you thought for a little bit Minnesota could have been, but they played nobody, and then it showed.
Yeah, they played Purdue and lost, and Purdue's pretty bad. I mean, we made them look good, or Penn State made them look good week 1, but week 1, we could kind of throw that in the garbage.
Yeah,
I think Maryland could be a little bit of a bogey team.
A bogey.
Their offense is not bad. Their defense, a little more to be desired, but their offense, Tagliavola, whatever it is, I can't say that name. Tua's brother.
Yes. Attaboy.
He's a pretty good quarterback.
They did only lose to Michigan by 7, was it?
7. Yes. And I think, funny to say, the best team in the West is probably Illinois.
We'll find out tomorrow. They are touchdown underdogs at home to Minnesota.
Then you got Iowa, who can't even throw the ball more than 5 yards. I mean, Iowa is something else. They're like watching Thursday Night Football.
Ah.
They are like watching Thursday Night Football. So, let's roll back to the question you asked me. Who do you think the best team in the country is?
I would still put Georgia on top.
Did I just have a stroke?
Maybe.
Yes.
I would still put Georgia on top. Yes, Ohio State looks good, but would they run the table in the SEC?
Which division?
Well, does it matter?
Yes.
Does it? If they're in the East, they got to play Georgia. If they're in the West, they got to play Alabama.
Yeah, but I think if they only have one tough game versus the West, where they might have 3. I think in the East, yeah, you got Tennessee. That's it. Other than Georgia, at least in the West, you got Bama, Ole Miss, LSU's normally good, Mississippi State.
Yeah, LSU looked great last week against Tennessee at home.
Yeah, I mean, I said they're normally good. Auburn sucks. They're really bad.
I mean, Mississippi State's playing really good this year.
Yeah, A&M's usually good.
I mean,
Arkansas, I don't know
Kentucky's
what's
decent
up with
when they're
Arkansas.
healthy. Your boy's been injured with turf toe.
My boy.
Your boy, Levis.
Yeah, you can see how much of a difference he is at Kentucky. He goes down, and Kentucky looks awful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Florida's decent. They're in the East. I mean, yeah, the West is harder. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to shuffle that conference around once Oklahoma and Texas join. I mean, they're going to have to move some teams to the East.
Probably move. Oh boy.
I mean, you can't move real. You can't have 2 teams that are typically decent and then move an easy team like Vanderbilt over. So what do you do? Move both Mississippis over?
That's what I was thinking. They're kind of the most east.
Hmm. So that'll be interesting.
It's kind of who you move over, both Mississippis, and now the East becomes an incredibly hard division.
Yeah. Well, and so will the West.
In a few years, once they learn to get a defense.
Yeah.
Oklahoma looks, all of, Iowa right now.
Yeah.
Put up a big goose egg against Texas.
49-0. So they gave up 56 to TCU and 49 to Texas.
And they play Kansas this week.
Kansas.
And they're a favorite.
They're a favorite. Yep.
You may see that sometime in the future.
Maybe. So do you want to talk Penn State, Michigan, or do you want to talk about Penn State first? Let's talk Penn State first.
Let's talk Penn State first. What do we want to talk about Penn State?
So what, obviously, you go to every home game.
I do. And I go to one practice a week.
Doesn't matter if it's rain, sleet, snow, sun. You go to every game.
Yeah.
What have you seen so far out of this team? Through the lens of a camera. So
to me, they're.
So wait, let me just ask you this question. So for every play, you're looking through your camera lens to try to get a picture, I would assume.
Pretty much. I don't ever really watch the game, so I don't have as much of an opinion as maybe somebody who's sitting in the press box or like last year when I just got to watch the game because I worked for Blue Band.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get to really watch it. I'm looking at maybe a receiver, a Clifford. On defense, I might be looking at the line or an edge rusher. Exactly. Like I'm not really watching the plays as much as other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're very underwhelming. Their defense looks great as ever. I think their defense is probably the second best in the Big Ten.
Behind?
Probably Ohio State at the moment.
Okay.
But I need to see Ohio State play a better offense.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to. Who's the best offense they're going to play this year? Penn State?
Georgia.
Georgia?
Alabama?
In the Big Ten.
In the Big Ten?
So, I think it's
Iowa?
kind of.
Do they play Iowa?
They might have.
No, they don't.
But, where was I going with this? Talking about Penn State. I'm looking at Ohio State's schedule. They play Iowa next week.
Oh. Hmm. Now that should
In
be interesting.
Iowa.
Hey,
Mind you.
Iowa's been known to
Never
rise up
mind.
and
At
beat
home.
some
It's at home.
teams.
It's at home.
Who's at home?
Ohio State.
Is Ohio State ever on the road?
They play Penn State.
Is that their only road game of the year? I swear to God, they're like never on the road.
They play Northwestern on the road, Maryland on the road. Any team they can really lose to, they play at home.
I mean, they have Michigan at home this year.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
So,
who the hell do they play on the road?
I think Penn State has definitely improved from last year. We got a little bit of a running game going. Now, you could say, yeah, they have a running game going. I say they don't. Singleton, yeah, he's looked all right. He's had 7 or 8 really long runs, and that's it. Yeah, he's very explosive, but he's a freshman. They got to learn how to play him. They need to stop playing him in options. They need to play him in I. I formation is how you play him.
Yes.
Because a few times they have, and all of a sudden he breaks a 13, 14, 15-yard run, and it's like, oh, look at that.
Yes.
You give him the 6 yards to get up to his speed, no one's catching him.
Yes. They do look very good when Clifford is under center instead of in the shotgun.
But the problem is their running game relies them bouncing it. They cannot run between the tackles.
Mm-hmm. Although,
Now,
I will say their offensive line does look better this year than it has in the past.
yeah, it's not the worst in the FBS this year. They very well might have had the worst, top 10 worst lines in the FBS last year. And that's not even joking. They at least look like they can get a push this year. Now, again, have they played as good of a defensive line as Michigan? No. I don't think they've played even close. Who's the best D-line they've played? Ohio? I mean, Auburn's D-line's nothing. Purdue's D-line's not much. Northwestern is terrible. Central Michigan didn't look like much. Like, they haven't really played a really stout defense yet. Are you intrigued?
Fire truck just rolled past the studio,
No.
going towards the firehouse.
Oh?
Like, I wonder where that was. I mean, as you know where the studio is, it's like...
Yeah. So the consensus is Penn State's defense might be top 10 in the whole country, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
You could make the argument. I mean, they have the most pass breakups in the entire FBS, and it's not even close. It's by a lot. You got some of the best linebackers, corners, in the Big Ten. Their middle linebacker is a little unexperienced, but he's a good run blocker. He's just not very quick.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive line gets a couple good pushes. They're struggling with sacks. Now, one thing that offense have been doing against them is they've been doing a really good job getting the ball out quick. Ohio, Central Michigan, and Auburn all trying to get the ball out really quick. That's probably something they worked on that week because Penn State's edge rushers are actually quite good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this week, going to Michigan's quarterback does not do that. Michigan's quarterback does not get rid of the ball quickly. He likes to extend plays as long as he physically can. And one interesting fact to note about Michigan's offense, they don't throw the ball over 10 yards. I believe I listened to his stat that 80% of his passes are 9 yards and below. So probably going, a lot of tic-tac football. That's just how Michigan likes to play this year because they built their offense around McCarthy. I think this could help Penn State because you're not worried so much maybe about the deep ball. and your safeties and your linebackers don't have to fall back. But another thing, this is kind of going into the preview of the game. Michigan also cannot run the ball between the tackles. Their running back the last 3 games has under 100 yards in between the tackles, and has over 250 or 300 yards outside the tackles. So that's where we got to make sure we keep them inside the tackles, and they shouldn't get a run game going. Shouldn't. And that's how you win. Because you know they're not going to pass the ball far. But going back to Penn State, they got pieces of the puzzle. It's just not done. I mean, you got Drew that's going to start next year. Cross your fingers.
Bo.
Bo's not starting over.
Drew is starting next year.
Christian may transfer out as well.
He's transferring out.
So then
the only way he doesn't transfer out is if Drew transfers out.
Which I think it's pretty much already set in stone that he's probably going to be the starter next year.
Yeah, and he said he wasn't transferring.
Yeah. And then
who knows with NIL deals?
Then you got Singleton, looks decent. He's the half starter. With Katron. Katron, to me, should be the starter for Michigan. He is definitely the hot hand at the moment. I wouldn't mind you kind of going, based on your look between the two of them. That's fine. But I would definitely put Katron on the field to start. But they're okay. That's kind of where I am with Penn State. They're okay. Defense, really good. Manny Diaz is quite the coach. I have a feeling he's not going to stay very long. I think he's trying to use it to get somewhere else. And that's not only my opinion. That is a lot of the media's opinion.
I mean, he's been a head coach.
He's probably trying to either get to the NFL or coach somewhere really good. Could be either. But at Penn State, he was inheriting already a good defense, so it wasn't too hard. I don't like – the one thing I don't like, and you mentioned this game 1, every time they make a stop, they, cheer.
Yes.
They, flex. All right, congratulations, you made a tackle for a 1-yard gain.
Yes.
Good job.
Yes. And that is the attitude that Manny brings wherever he goes. That is the attitude he brings.
I know. He is very, very verbal at practice. And he plays very good cop, bad cop. He's very, energetic, but kind of a dick.
Got it. So he's like me. Except I'm not energetic. I'm just a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think, looking ahead to the future, beyond this year, I think the expanded playoffs, the 2 teams in the entire country it helps the most is Michigan and Penn State.
Very true, because it's going to take you either Ohio State a really bad year or some miracle to start competing with them.
Yes. Yeah,
Penn State might beat Ohio State every now and then. Michigan might beat Ohio State every now and then.
Now,
but typically they're going to win 8 out of 10 times.
I do think that the next time Ohio State comes to Beaver Stadium, so in 2 years from now, as long as it's a night game, Fox, you fuckers, not an afternoon game like it is this year, Fox, you fuckers, Penn State beats them.
Oh, yeah.
I will put it right, because they have the foundation to have really good teams. They finally got the 5-star quarterback. They got 2 5-star running backs. They are building, slowly, an offensive line. They will have a good defense. Their secondary this year is phenomenal. Hopefully that carries over. So,
tackle coming in.
Shockingly, their tight ends are down right now.
Yeah, Strange is a little. He's all right. He ain't got no Fryer. You think is sicky though.
No, and he was supposed to be, like, from what I read, seems to be the biggest disappointment from what people thought of this team.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. How's the game going to go tomorrow at noon? You know, Fox, by the way, which basically shows every Michigan game. This is like their fourth straight game that they're showing Michigan as their main game.
Like I was saying a little bit already, I think these two teams are very similar. Penn State doesn't really throw deep balls. They can, but they don't. Michigan, same thing. Neither team can really run between the tackles. Both defenses are quite good. Both offenses are, they're okay. You probably give the edge at quarterback to Michigan. I don't really care about the experience.
I'm not so
Skill-wise,
sure.
McCarthy is better, but Clifford does have the 4 years of the high pressure game. So if Penn State can come out strong, like they did against like Iowa, and Clifford doesn't get injured, I think they win.
Mm-hmm.
If they come out slow and Penn State lets McCarthy get into a rhythm, and it's like 10-3 at halftime. Penn State, Michigan wins. You gotta put them down early, so you get McCarthy in a situation where he has to start passing the ball, because there's a statistic I listened to that Michigan has been pressured 18 times, or McCarthy's been pressured 18 times this year. When he is pressured, he throws the ball into danger a lot. He completes 80-something% of his passes. But like I said, most of his passes are under 10 yards, and they're wide open guys.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you can complete 80% of your passes if you're passing like that. But when he is put under pressure, he is proven to not do good. Does any quarterback do good under pressure? No, not really, except Mahomes. He's the only one who could throw it underhand 45 yards. But I personally think Michigan will probably win very, very slimly, like 21-20.
21-20 Michigan, huh? All right, so...
Because it's going to come down, Penn State's going to have the ball with under a minute to go, and they're going to... It's either that or Michigan's going to score late, because it's 20-14 and you're playing prevent with 3 minutes to go.
They don't do that. They don't do that with Manny Diaz. No.
True. You'd think Manny Diaz won't do that.
Yeah. So, I agree with what you said, that Michigan's quarterback does not do good under pressure. Do I expect him to be under pressure more this game than any other game this season? Yes, absolutely. What does Manny Diaz like to do? Put opposing quarterbacks under pressure. He likes to blitz, and blitz a lot. That is going to happen in this game. Now, how he handles the blitz is going to say a lot. If he can get the ball out, Michigan is going to make plays. If he doesn't, Michigan obviously will not make plays. I think this game is going to be won, though, in the trenches. It's going to be Michigan's offensive line against Penn State's defensive line and linebackers. Mustafar is going to play a huge role in this game. If he has a monster game, Penn State is going to win this game.
If you put to it, if you just put whatever defense plays better wins, Penn State's defense is better.
Yes, but I didn't say that.
Well, I mean, they're Mustapher and their two linebackers, not their middle linebacker. Even though their middle linebacker is going to play a huge role if he stops the run, like he's good at.
Yes. Yeah,
they outmatched Michigan tenfold between Mustapher and the three linebackers. It's not even close.
So this is going to be, and here's my prediction, a classic Penn State game. They will be winning with 2 minutes to go. Michigan will have the ball, like every big Penn State game, and the question is going to be, is Penn State's defense going to come up big or not? That is what's going to happen. The answer to that question, very similar to the Wisconsin game last year, is yes, Penn State wins a close game. 24-23.
Another thing I'd like to mention.
Can we talk about my prediction?
Yeah, 24-23.
Yeah. Can you react to my prediction and not just shove it off into the corner somewhere?
At least we're close.
Yes.
On the score. We both see a very similar game. Just Penn State winning for most of it, and then you have them holding it. I don't.
I didn't say Penn State was going to be winning for most of the game. I said Penn State's going to have the lead with 2 minutes to go, is what I said.
I figured they'll be up or very slightly down most of the game.
I think it's going to be a very low-scoring first half, personally. I think one team may reach double digits. But Penn State will have the lead with 2 minutes to go in the game. Michigan will have the ball. They'll have it somewhere around their 40-yard line with 2 minutes to go. Will Penn State's defense make a play or not? Either way, Penn State plus the 7 or 7.5 is the play. And I would say play the under, which I believe is sitting at 49.
The good thing is Mike Yurcich, Penn State's offensive coordinator, likes to attack cover 3. Michigan's cover 3. Michigan's most often played defense is cover 3. So expect Penn State to try to bomb the ball 3 or 4 times. Now, if they complete one of those, then I might say they win. I think it could come down to, do they get that 60-yard touchdown pass or not? You got to somehow break the game open if you're Penn State. You can't. I don't think you could sit there and play Michigan-style football the whole game. I don't think you can play. Now, they played kind of weird to what they played last year. Last year, Michigan played a very tight offense, 2 tight ends a lot. This year, they're playing wide open. Because they designed their offense completely around McCarthy. They're relying on him. Where was I going with that?
No play.
I don't know.
On to the NFL. All I know is if the season ended today, the Jets would be in the playoffs.
I don't think the Packers would be. They're awful.
The Jets would be in the playoffs. They would either be the 5 seed or the 6 seed. They would be in the playoffs. Let's hear it for the Jets. Jets.
Yeah.
I can't hear you, people.
They get trounced.
They are 2-0 on the road this year.
Who do they play this week?
Green Bay.
Oh. Is it in Green Bay?
It's in Green Bay.
Oh, jeez. That's not good for the Green Bay fan in the room.
You know what? We'll talk about that in a little bit. So, the Thursday night. What I wanted to say about the Thursday night thing. I actually think Washington-Chicago was a really good matchup to put on Thursday night. Why? Maybe you don't know this.
Because nobody else would watch it otherwise?
Maybe you don't know this. How many Thursday night games do they have a season? Do you have any idea?
16?
16. How many NFL teams are there?
32?
16. How many teams play in one game?
2.
16 times 2 equals?
32.
Each team plays one Thursday night game a year.
Oh, so they took out basically the 2 worst teams in the league in one game.
Right.
I wouldn't say... Actually, I don't think they're the worst 2 teams in the league. I I personally don't.
Well, Chicago was projected to be the worst team in the league.
Chicago is the worst team in the league. I think calling Washington the second worst team is a little harsh.
No, they weren't projected to be the second worst team. Houston was.
Houston, Atlanta.
Atlanta was projected to be down there too.
At this point, the Dolphins look kind of bad.
Well, they're playing their third string quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Panthers, they're pretty bad.
Yes. They just fired their coach. But yes, in case you guys didn't know, did you know that each NFL team plays a Thursday night game each year?
No, I didn't know
because
that.
Because it's a huge disadvantage to play only off of 3 days rest.
True.
So they only make a team do it once a year. Now, it's a huge advantage if you're coming off your bye week. Which I believe...
play Thursday, then play Monday.
Which I believe, there's something with the Jets have played 2 teams that their game before was their Thursday night game, so they get extra rest before they play the Jets. And yes, there is, people follow stats like that. So, yes, the Jets would be in the playoffs. So, Eagles, real or fake?
Fake.
Fake, huh?
I think they're the most overrated team in the NFL in some time. Let's just take a quick look at who they've played.
Well, let's just start by saying their Week 2 win against Minnesota was very impressive.
That is their impressive win, yes. So they played the Lions, won by 3.
After being up by 103.
So, whatever. Again, Week 1. The Lions have a good offense, sort of.
Which they really showed last week in New England, getting shut out.
Vikings, them beating the Vikings, that was a great win.
Yes.
I'll give them that.
Which the Viking quarterback sucks in primetime games.
Commanders, I'd hope to beat the Commanders. Jaguars, at home, you probably... preseason, I'd say, you probably should win that game.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence had 4 fumbles himself that game. The game was played in a rainstorm.
Hey, it was nice that won me fantasy. Because the guy I was playing had Trevor Lawrence on his team and did terrible. And then they beat the Cardinals, and the Cardinals are very underwhelming this year.
And the Cardinals missed the field goal to end the game.
Yeah, should be fired for that.
And the field goal kicker was having problems at that end of the field in warm-ups. He kept missing them right, and lo and behold,
missed it right.
It wasn't even from 50 yards. It was from 44. It's come on, man. You're a professional kicker in the NFL. You're not in college. You got to hit 44-yard field goals.
I think this week could be a good test for the Eagles. They're at home against the Cowgirls, Cowboys, whatever you want to call them.
So it will be a good test because obviously this will be the best defense by far that they've played against.
Is Dak playing?
No.
So
I don't believe so. So you still get Cooper Rush, who went 10 for 19 for 4 yards last week. And won the game.
And won the game, yeah.
So the biggest problem with Dallas is they played in LA last week, and now they're flying to the East Coast to play Philly.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of an issue.
This is the only problem with the Eagles. Did they ever get some of the easiest out of division games?
They have the easiest schedule in the NFL as of projected as the beginning of the year.
After the Cowboys, they play the Steelers, the Texans, the Commanders, the Colts. Their next 4.
That's a really easy schedule.
Then they play the Packers, the Titans, the Giants, the Bears. They should only lose 1 or 2 of these.
Yeah.
Then you got the Cowboys, the Saints, and the Giants again. They're out of division games are easy this year.
Yep.
I think they are going to be the biggest fraud 14-3 team ever.
They could easily go 15-2.
They are going to be the number 1 seed of all probability because their team is, I'll say they're to decent. I don't think they're top 5, but they're not out of playoffs. They are good enough to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But they are not a 15-2 team. They just aren't. Like, they'll go and play. The problem is the NFC is just kind of.
Forced prediction. They play Buffalo on a neutral field. Who wins by how many? Don't give me a score. Just tell me. Buffalo by blank. Philly by blank.
Buffalo by 10 to 15.
I would agree.
I mean, Buffalo looks, except against Miami, but they were playing in like 170,000 degree heat.
And they should have won that game. They had 90 offensive snaps in that game.
Yeah. Other than that, Buffalo has looked unbelievable. They just killed the Steelers last week, like, literally. Feel bad for, what's his face? The rookie. Tough first game to start in your career.
Yeah, but you know what? He did throw for over 300 yards.
He's going to be a good quarterback.
Probably.
I think he is going to be a good quarterback.
Yeah.
So outside the Eagles, who's your Super Bowl?
Well, I tell you what, this week is going to be telling to see who's going to the Super Bowl, because the number 1 seed in the AFC is on the line with Buffalo and Kansas City.
This is true.
And it's interesting that it's a 4:25 game. Like, it's not like the Sunday night game or the Monday night game like you would think it would be.
Yeah, you think the Eagles are the night game.
But, Kansas City was just on night last week, so...
Hey, I'm glad it's not at night because I can't stay up for the whole game. I never can.
This is the first time that Mahomes is a home underdog in his career. You might see this pick in a little bit. First one of us on one of these teams. So if I think the team who's going to win this game represents the Super Bowl, then I can't tell you who I'm going to pick. You have to wait till you see the spread.
All right.
Or till you see.
So what about this is the hard one. Because to me, I think whoever makes the Super Bowl between the Chiefs and Buffalo, which is the most likely outcome, wins the Super Bowl.
Yes.
The only chance they don't is if Tampa Bay is in the Super Bowl.
Right. The NFC is going to be tough because the number 1 seed, barring anything weird or any injuries, it's going to be Philly.
Yeah.
Every other team has problems. Like Tampa, they can't run the ball. Their good receivers are hurt. Tom Brady's getting old. He's got personal issues in his private life. His wife filed for divorce. Nobody else in that division is any good. The East, are the Giants for real? They finally found a really good coach. So are they for real? But with Daniel Jones, the Cowboys, is obviously when Dak comes back, he's going to play. They're not going to let Cooper Rush continue to be the starter. How is that going to affect? Are they going to continue to win? Are they going to lose? The North, I mean, Green Bay is not the Green Bay of old. They're not. They can't make adjustments in the second half.
Yeah, their dynasty is over.
Yeah, like until they get better wide receivers that Aaron Rodgers trusts, if they ever do, while Aaron Rodgers is still there.
No, because Aaron Rodgers has got no more than probably 2 years.
I mean, I was the one that predicted this year Aaron Rodgers would be in Steeler colors.
I mean, when they don't make the playoffs, either Aaron Rodgers goes somewhere else or retires.
Right. So out west, and then you have Minnesota, but Minnesota isn't going to come into Philly and win a primetime game. They've already tried it twice and got destroyed both times. So out west, the Rams are looking putrid compared to how they were last year.
Stafford just isn't Stafford.
Right. And then you have San Francisco, who wanted to start a god-awful quarterback in Trey Lance. And now that they got Jimmy Garoppolo starting, it's amazing. Their coach, I heard this stat today, wins less than 30% of his games when Garoppolo is not their starting quarterback. When Garoppolo is their starting quarterback, he wins more than 70% of his games.
Wow.
It's like 72 wins when he starts, 28 wins when he doesn't start. So I would say right now, as weird as this is going to sound, your NFC Championship game, if I had to pick it right at this moment, would be Philly-San Francisco. If they wouldn't face each other sooner. And San Francisco would have the defense that could beat Philly. And wouldn't that be a weird freaking story if San Francisco were to go on and win the Super Bowl when they didn't even want to keep Garoppolo on the team? From what I hear, they wouldn't even give him the playbook in the preseason.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't like Garoppolo. All he does is win games.
Yeah.
I don't care that he is honestly maybe an average quarterback.
Yes.
But he just wins games.
Yes. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're a Green Bay fan. Didn't he go into Lambeau Field last January and beat some team named Green Bay?
Yeah, and I said that was going to happen. And everyone's like, no, Green Bay's going to win. Green Bay's going to win. I'm like, no, they're not. Green Bay doesn't win against San Francisco at home in the NFC Championship game. They just don't.
And then he probably should have taken them to the Super Bowl last year. They lost a heartbreaker to the Rams by 3.
Yeah.
But
they might have won it outright if they were there.
Let's wrap up the show in our normal fashion, where we give our picks in the at 500 or slightly above 500.
I went 3-2 last week. I did go 3-2.
The other person who does this show might be at about 8% on his picks.
I was 7-23.
Woo.
No.
Woo.
7. No. No.
God.
No. It's 7-18.
Oh.
7-18. That sounds right. So I think I'm 10-20 at this point.
Oof. Oof. All right, so we'll start with his picks, so you don't know, who not to play.
Yeah.
And so we'll go over him, and I'll give my opinion on his picks. There's some of these that I liked, and then there's something that kept me off of them. So, without further ado, here is the non-genetically proven sons picks. Now, before I show them, what we decided to do this year is you could make any pick that's on the board at all. It doesn't matter what it is. Could be a prop play, could be a side, could be a total. Doesn't matter what it is, you can make it. Hold on, I gotta remember how to do this. That the audio will stay there. Let's do this. So, the screen went blank, but you still have the audio. So now let's see if this works.
I remember you doing this.
Da 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 da. Hey! The audio should be there now.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, on to the non-genetically proven sons pick. He has 1 college game this week and 4 pro games. Your college game, you have Kansas.
So,
plus
this
9.
Is the weirdest,
Hold on.
The weirdest line of the week for me.
Okay, let's
Kansas,
stop.
yeah,
Let me say who Kansas is playing for those that don't know.
I was getting there.
Kansas is getting 9 at Oklahoma. Go ahead.
So this is a little bit weird to me because Oklahoma sucks, and Kansas is 5-1, 4-1, 4-1, 5-1, 5-1. So I don't understand why Kansas is an underdog. I don't, or at least by this much. This reminds me of when a few weeks back I didn't take it. I didn't understand why Texas A&M was a touchdown underdog to Mississippi State. I just didn't get it. I didn't take it because I'm like, that's so weird. That's one of those, like, it's that for a reason. Well, Mississippi State won by like 30. So I'm going to take it this time. If Oklahoma wins by 25, I won't be surprised. But Kansas is playing good. Oklahoma probably couldn't give a care in the world because you got to figure their preseason goal every year is to make the playoffs, and now they stink. What do they care? So Kansas is going to cover. I don't know if they'll win, but they'll cover.
All right, so this is the game that I had said to you earlier in the week that there was one game that I was looking at playing, unless if you played it, then I wasn't going to play it. And this was that game. The one thing that's really keeping me off of this, and I heard it today from listening to a podcast on, from guys that, bet professionally for a living and are really good at it. They said when the average person seems to have a line, they see a line that makes absolutely no sense to them, they should play it. So in other words, he's saying you're going to lose your pick.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
And I'm saying I might lose it too, but
you might.
I'm going to take 9 points.
You might. All right, then we go to the pros. You have, speaking of Green Bay and the Jets.
Yeah, I took the Jets.
Yes, you have the Jets. Jets, plus 7.5. You found a line with the hook.
But that's part of the reason why I took it. I'm getting the hook.
Yep.
I really like that hook. Other than the Jets could be playing with a little bit of confidence. They put up 40 last week on the Dolphins.
They did.
It's not bad.
They did. Zach Wilson is 2-0 since his return.
Beat the Steelers.
Yeah.
Beat the Browns. They're putting up points.
They
except
are.
in week one.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think Green Bay scores probably more than 24 in this game, to be honest.
Okay.
They just don't look great. And like you said, they can't make a halftime adjustment, and you're right. They suck in the second half.
Yep.
If it doesn't work in the first half, it ain't going to work in the second half.
Yep.
So I like the Jets getting the hook. Give me the hook. I'll take it.
Okay. So I actually did have this bet in mind, and then I got rid of it. Why did I get rid of it? Green Bay is 9-0. Straight up and against the spread off of a loss.
Yeah, that's stuff I don't see. Those kind of statistics.
Yes. Now, that doesn't mean anything when you can't make adjustments in the second half of a game.
True.
So will this be the game that they finally break out, or is this going to be more Green Bay? Blah, 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 blah. I do have a pick in this game, though, coming up. So I will say that. I do love the Jets' second half. Assuming, once again, that Green Bay can't make halftime adjustments. Obviously, you can't bet it now because you don't know what the second half line is going to be.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind on Sunday at about, 20 after 2 or so. If you think about it, Jets in the second half. All right. You have Jones, quarterback for the New York Giants, to throw over 202.5 passing yards.
Yes. 2 reasons. They're playing Baltimore.
They are, whose secondary sucks.
Who has the worst passing defense in the league.
Yep.
200 yards for a pro quarterback should be pretty doable.
You would think.
That's pretty bog standard, a little below average if you only throw 200 anymore. I mean, you ain't winning if you throw under 200.
Yep.
Unless you're Army Navy.
Yep.
But I think as long as they're losing, which they should be.
They are 6-point underdogs.
I'd say I'd love to see a 38 tie because I have Lamar Jackson and Saquon. So, I mean, I'd love to see them both score like 4 touchdowns each. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think the Giants are going to be forced to pass the ball. So I think 202 yards, I thought that was quite low. I thought it was going to be more towards 250.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Makes sense. And then you have a lot of people like this play, the over in the Buffalo-Kansas City game of 54. I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
I feel like this has got shootout written all over it.
Yeah.
What do both quarterbacks like to do? Throw the ball very far.
Yeah.
Mahomes can scramble and do unbelievable things. Buffalo is unbelievable themselves. Buffalo's been putting up, close to 30 points a game. Mahomes literally averages like 300 some yards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if Buffalo puts up 28, Kansas City should put up 28. Here's your over.
Yeah. And then you like the Cowboys getting almost a touchdown. That line's gone up during the week over the Eagles.
Defense. Eagles have not played nearly any good defense. I think it's going to come to bite them a little bit. They might still win. I think without Dak, Dallas probably still loses, especially on the road. But I think it'll be a closer game because of defense. It could be a low-scoring game. Wouldn't be surprised if it's like 20-14, 20-17, maybe even like 20-16 kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, Dallas is going to cover because of that defense.
Very, very interesting. All right, so to review your picks, you have Kansas +9, the New York Jets +7.5. I like seeing you take a lot of underdogs. I like that. Daniel Jones over 202.5 passing yards. Buffalo, Kansas City over 54, and Dallas +6.5. Those are the non-genetically proven sons. Phatts Fantastic 5 picks. And now for mine. I, too, have 1 college game and 4 pro games. Now, this is what I like about this is he doesn't know my picks before the show. So as you're seeing them, this is his first time seeing them as well. So my first pick, college. I have Tennessee getting 9 over Alabama. Tennessee will keep this game close. Not going to say they're going to win it. Alabama is not quite the Alabama that they've been in years past. Okay, they only beat Texas by a point when Texas's starting quarterback got hurt in the first quarter of the game. Alabama beat Texas A&M last week by 2 because Texas A&M ran a stupid, god-awful play the last play of the game. Or they could have lost. Actually, they had to win by more than 2 because they would have kicked the field goal. So they had to win by 4, I believe it was. 4 or 5.
Do I get to give my opinion on your picks?
Absolutely.
I don't mind your Tennessee pick since they're getting over a touchdown. And with your points stated, Alabama doesn't really look like Alabama. So most likely, yeah, Tennessee will cover the 9. Or Alabama will wake up.
Yes, Alabama's starting quarterback is back. So the line went up 2 today. It was 7 all week, and now it jumped up to 9. I took Jets Green Bay over 45.5. So I knew I wanted to play it over on either the Jets Green Bay game or the Baltimore New York Giants game. Why? Because teams coming back from playing over the pond in London and they don't get a bye week are giving up points in bunches this year. Green Bay was over the pond. So was the Giants last week. So it wouldn't surprise me if both games go over. But somebody I trust really likes the over in this game. So that's the over that I took. I could see the Jets losing the end of the first half and scoring a bunch of points in the second half. I could easily see it happening. And breaking that 9-0 cover streak by Green Bay coming off of a loss. Opinion?
Yeah, I don't mind that because since the Jets, you're kind of banking on the Jets are going to probably score around 20 at least.
It would not shock me if the Jets win this game.
I'm fine with that. I honestly don't care.
But
I class myself as a Green Bay fan, but I don't follow Green Bay. I don't know anyone else other than a couple players.
But also knowing that 9-0 stat, it wouldn't surprise me if Green Bay wins this game by double digits, comfortably. Either.
Well, no, I want them to win by 3.
Okay.
3-0.
Oh, no.
3-0 because, well, I'm not playing Green Bay's defense. I'm playing Dallas's defense.
All right, my next play, Jacksonville, Indy 42. I believe the score the first time they met was 24-0, Jacksonville. I do not expect a repeat of the same, meaning the score. I don't expect Jacksonville to shut out Indy. It won't surprise me if actually Indy wins this game. Jacksonville has kind of fallen back to earth. I mean, they lost to Houston last week. They couldn't score against Houston. So Indy stinks. They can't score either. So we're going under. Buffalo, Kansas City. I took this game for 2 reasons. Number one, I finally found a place that had it at 3. It was 2.5 all week. All week. It was 2.5. I found a book today that had it at 3. So I took it at 3. Take the Buffalo Baltimore game out of the equation for a moment.
Yep.
All of their other wins are by blowouts over the last 2 seasons.
Right.
They don't win close games. Are you going to tell me Buffalo is going to go into Kansas City and win a close game? Yes, they could have and should have won in the playoffs last year in a close game.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And you're going to give me Mahomes as an underdog at home? Come on, man. I'd love to get it at 3.5, but you ain't going to see 3.5.
Unless you want to pay more.
Unless you want to pay more. My last pick, Seattle plus 1.5 in the first quarter. That's the important thing. In the first quarter. I was going to play Seattle in the first half. At the same line, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, it's usually double.
Yeah. I mean, most books have the first line at Seattle plus 1. I found a book that had it at 1.5. It was 1.5 when it first opened, and it quickly moved down to 1. But I did find a book that had it at 1.5, so I was figuring first quarter had it at 0.5. Lo and behold, when that same book had the first quarter at 1.5. Why do I like this? Arizona has scored no points so far in the first quarter all season. Arizona has scored a grand total of 26 points in the first half all season.
And I would argue Geno Smith has probably looked like a top 10 quarterback right now.
He's 8th ranked in fantasy by the league I'm in.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm going to hope for a scoreless first quarter or a Seattle winning. Or even if Arizona wins 7-6, if they find a way to score in the first quarter.
know about that.
So my picks: one college, Tennessee +9, New York Jets, Green Bay over 45.5, Jacksonville, Indy under 42, Kansas City +3, and Seattle in the first quarter +1.5. And those are your Phatts Fantastic Five for the week. Yay.
Yay. Don't play those.
At least his.
If you learn anything from the last 2 seasons of this show and over 100 shows we've done, we suck at betting.
He does.
My first year, I was 20 games over 500
right,
or something like
and
that.
I sucked because none of my things worked right during COVID.
Yeah, so I'm a COVID better. 'Cause ever since
Apparently
then, I've
you
been
are.
awful.
All the strategies that I used did not work during COVID. And then last year it returned to form, and I was above 500, and you were god awful, and you're even worse this year.
Yeah, now that everything's completely back to normal, sporting wise,
Yeah.
I have hit the bottom of the bottom.
You have. You have. All right. That's going to wrap up our first show. We went really long for our first show, an hour and 40 minutes.
That's about what I figured we'd take. We had a lot of topics to talk about.
That's long for us. Very, very long for us. So.
Except for election night, that was, 12
Yes.
hours.
Yeah. So next week, I expect that we're going to start going back to our twice-a-week show.
It's possible.
Yeah.
One show would be mostly politics, one would be mostly sports.
Right. So the first show of the week would be the political show.
Probably Tuesdays.
Tuesdays would be a great day to do it.
Tuesday would probably be Wednesdays are a struggle for me during football season.
Yes, of course.
Tuesdays or Mondays would be the best, and then we'll shoot for Fridays for sports. Could be Thursdays, but we'll shoot for Fridays.
Yes. Well, our normal schedule, barring anything strange, would be Tuesdays and Fridays for the time being. Yes. All right. You got anything to say before we say goodbye?
We go all.
Let me leave you with 2 words. Fuck. No. No. We'll save that for Tuesday. I got 2 words for you. See ya. You gonna wave goodbye? Very good. Very good. See ya, ladies and gentlemen.